Hey, good day, friends, guys and gals. How's everybody doing? I want to show you now, talk about the Porsche 928 intake manifold refreshing operations. There's several videos I've done of that, of this, and this is no different, but this is a moment that I'm going to capture and show you the time where you can go left or you can go right. You can go have it done this way or you can have it done that way. And this manifold in question I received from a friend of mine, a customer. He had his started to be done, refreshed, but it went in a way that I'm going to capture, measure, and show you probably, and I'm going to say this, how not to do it. Remember, this is magnesium, soft metal, dirty metal. Here we go. I'm going to talk about it right now. Okay, friends, so let me get that out of the way right there. That's who I am. Okay, y'all know that, but there it is. So here is a 4R manifold. That means it's a GTS manifold. But and I'm going to show you something else. This is a GT manifold, and this is also a 4R. See right here, 4R upside down? This is from an 89 or 90 GT model. See, it's got a different GS on the end. GF, Golf Foxtrot. 546, and if you look at this one is a 546, same part number, 4R, but it's slightly different. So and I think that's why this manifold came to me, because of this and the business that does an exchange of manifolds up in Dallas. I know for a fact he doesn't have a manifold with that on it. So that's probably why that came to me, which is something you need to take note of. These manifolds are a finite source. They're not everywhere out there. So what you have, you probably should retain it for yourself. Send it to me to have it done. As that's probably why this one came to me like that. But let me get into this manifold right here. The reason this came to me is not just to blast. It's because of this crack right here in the manifold. Now, how that got cracked, I do not know. I find that very interesting that there is a crack there. And I don't know if the crack is extending on the inside. It probably is. But I don't know just to the extent of how deeply the crack does go. So before this gets welded up, I'm going to blast this manifold and ascertain just how much damage is in here and if there's any more damages in here. If you look right here, there's some rot and boogery going on right there on the bottom of that bolt. This system right here, I was digging in that. Digging in here to get it clean, get all the rotted, corroded metal out of it. So I'm going to blast this manifold. So let me show you just what was going on. This manifold was sandblasted, probably with sand or something very aggressive. If you can look here, look at the pitting that's caused by that blasting process in the manifold. I do not like that. This manifold probably could benefit from a surfacing of that mating surface. Just look at that. Look at how pitted that is. That's from a very aggressive media blasting process that my friend in his shop undertook to do. My blasting process does not involve that. Remember, I use plastic, and this is the stuff right here. This is the material I use in the blasting process. Ground up dominoes. So, the benefit of using the ground up dominoes blasting is I can maintain blasting procedures and the blasting process on those numbers and not wear away the metal. It will wear away the coating. What happened here was the blaster was using a very aggressive blasting media, and he could not stay in any one area very long because he was not taking away the material, the coating, the objective of the blasting. He was not removing it. He was damaging the metal. I know this from experience, using harder blasting medias on softer substrates like this magnesium intake manifold. That's why he gave up and stopped doing it. Now this is a 4R manifold, so each one of these tubes has to be cleaned out manually. And the only way to do that is, as the previous videos on my channel, you can see, and you've seen them. So the point is, in all this, is that if you have one of these manifolds, do not get it sandblasted or blasted with a lot of pressure, with a lot of aggressive blasting media, because it will tear into the metal. I'm showing you proof of that right now. This has to be hand cleaned, get all of this coating off it, and then blast it. The blasting goes quick and easy, and it prepares the metal, gives it a light profile, cleans all the residual black stuff, because this does have a black coating on the metal. Right there, you can see it. It's a black coating. It cleans all that off. Once the actual epoxy coating is removed, there's residual stuff there in the metal, like right here. That stuff right there is residual. But let me zoom in and show you just how pitted. Let the camera focus. And I'm going to recommend to the owner that he gets this resurfaced. I'm going to get it to him in bare metal. I don't think we're going to powder coat it, even though I suggested to him that the powder coater that I use lets magnesium bake for 30 days. And he gave me the eyebrows raised, like, really? That's a long time. I said, yes, it is a long time. It is magnesium. It is dirty. It needs to be baked that long. The powder coater I go to has loads of personal experience doing this. He used to do Ford intake manifolds and magnesium stuff, and he's had numerous failures, and he doesn't have any failures on these. Once in a while you get a pop or two, little small pinpricks of escaping gas from the metal through the powder, but it's very rare. Very rare. And if it happens in a surface that is readily apparent to the view when you open up the hood, that's something that you're going to have to deal with, or I'll redo the whole thing for another cost. I won't do it again for free, as I've previously said in videos. But just to let you see, again, I'm glad that this individual brought this to me, and we met him. I met him up in out of town, and we exchanged this, got this from him. He'll be happy with it. I've done work for him before. He likes my work. But he probably wanted to keep some of the stuff on in-house to do it himself, because I'm not cheap, but I'm not terribly expensive either. Just, I'm very fair. You get a perfect product. It's done right. It's done correctly, and you have no problem. You have no problems. I guarantee. I promise you. There's no residual media inside these manifolds. There's no residual anything Everything is perfectly clean. When you start your motor up, you'll have no problems. No problems at all. You just take my manifold, you put it on, and you're good to go. So there it is, folks. You've got to be gentle with the blasting media. You've got to not use an aggressive mix. You've got to not use a lot of pressure. You have to use a lot of volume. You have to. Now look in here. Look down that little hole. It's interesting. That's looking through the intake. One of the air intakes. One of the egg-shaped oval intakes. Look at that mess in there that you have to clean up. Look at the mess behind the bell house, behind the trumpet intake horn. Right there. All that coating has to come off. And I do get it off. Everything comes off. Now the average sand blaster out there will not do that. Cannot do that because they don't want to take the time. However, Dr. Blast will, because I have a vested interest in these things because I own them. One right there. Two in there. And one out in the trailer. And then Steve's car. So, there it is, friends. Be good. Have a good day. All the best to you. See you.
You're sitting here from a physical perspective and you're thinking about coming into a different incarnation. What you're essentially doing is watching everything that goes into any of your potential lines. So that means you're looking at multiple parents, their combination on what month, right? You're looking at the entire consciousness of every family line that's coming into the picture of this family tree that you're considering incarnating into. Because you know that by doing so, you are essentially activating and coming in as the progression of that specific consciousness. So we do not come here a clean slate at all. We intentionally come in through that story of that larger family line and inherit everything. Everything.
Our hair, our constructed things, our cars.
As people really understood it, they would be shocked. Honestly, they could do this kind of pretty normal with that, right? That's when you see them. As long as you see them, you can't necessarily have a quote-unquote personality there. You know how they're called? What is it called? Oh man, if you really knew how much what you're opting into plays into the bigger picture of your current incarnation, I mean, people would be essentially doing ancestral stuff immediately.
Yeah, because the point, well actually that's the, what is the point of this human experience?
Depends on the person's life.
There is a macro point to this?
The macro point to life itself as a human?
Mm-hmm.
To progress self-awareness within the universe at large.
Perfect. So you choose dynamics that create self-awareness.
Oh, you're creating, no, it's more complicated than that. So that's the macro picture. That's what we're all kind of doing here. But it's much more fun to look at an individual. An individual is looking when they're coming.
I've been listening to Danica Patrick, the former race car driver. She really has a lot of interesting interviews with various people.
Incarnations and everything that they've already got from their you're not going to incarnate most likely into the family that understands love. You're going to be like, oh, right, I come down here specifically to take that one on to be the one that will see that. And that's also a picture of what you're saying that you're doing in the family. We are here not only for your gift, but also we're here because we want to take responsibility and use the vulnerable people. It's happening and transpiring through your family.
So it's gonna be hard, right? You're like,
I don't think it's master.
do you know what you came here to do? To
Oh,
learn?
no. Yes. Yeah, I don't, each one of my family lines for sure. With my father's line, there's this pattern of incredible emotional neglect moving through that line. And I'm here to master the turning towards the family at the same time as turning towards endeavor. That it's not just one or the other. And my father's line is always one or the other. It's really, really good. Emphasizing endeavor and something different underlying the other. Which is like different realizing what they're going to create and then the ignition is that your children just completely ignore it. So it's almost like you're going to get something to help out. So the child will just pop down and not really show up. And there's a lot of, obviously, a lot of mental illness comes out of those types of patterns. A lot of people that can't thrive because they couldn't get those original emotional needs met. So I have come to with you to learn that something matters is the one of the emotional connection for my father's line. The mother's line is actually the one doing my mother's line. It's my mother's line. That family is a corrupted line, if you want to know the truth. What I mean by that is that each child that is born with a very specific type of innocence in that line. Now, we can say that all children are born with a type of innocence, but everyone's like these different grades, you see how different these grades. The interesting about my mother's line is that every child that's born in that line is born with this incredible innocence. I mean, far beyond what is normal for a baby.
Okay, well, good
It's
enough.
like a type of purity which is, I mean, it's so light, but it gets corrupt. And I mean corrupt so bad that essentially each person within that line becomes the nightmare for the next generation. So the pattern that's running through that line is living with the enemy. And then having to cope with living with the enemy by becoming corrupt oneself. So it's like this, each baby's born with this incredible light and it gets snuffed out, snuffed out, snuffed out. So I came here to work with a lot of things of abuse on that side, a lot of themes of antagonism and sort of living with the enemy dynamics within the household. I came here to restore that sense of innocence. So it's like, can we